Hi everybody, Game Cooker US Rocks VR here. How y'all doing? Just gonna do, I guess, a ad-lib video here. Let me just see if I got sound. I don't know until I hear it. Okay, I guess I have sound. I can hear myself. Now I don't know, I can't really, I mean, I guess I could use my phone to check out chat. I know it's like late, not a very good time to, what happened to my phone holder? My phone stand is gone. Crap. Alright, anyway. Let me turn down the... Let me see how loud that music is. Alright, I guess I gotta turn down the music just a little. Alright, anyway, I'll just turn my phone on here. And I'll be streaming it from different places. So, anyway, so I played Starfield for a little while, and I'm gonna tell you just my thoughts first. Oh, here's my phone stand. Got it. Well, like I wrote my review here on Xbox. So the first thing that I noticed about it was the character creation, right? So you don't really get like a say multiple templates, right, for your characters. You know, like for instance, you know, MMOs, right? They give you like some of them give you like 10 or 12 or 15 characters to start with, right? And then when you get into the character creation, you can adjust the character to look however you want, right? So with this one, it was like a wheel, and there was a body, and then you would morph it, like either to the fat side, to the skinny side, to the muscular side, or to the you know between the big and the little, and like and like I should have put up the video because it's just like, oh my god. Um, and the characters look so funky like that. So just starting, just the character that you start off with, can look so goofy. And then, it does have a lot of sliders, so I do give them that, right? You can kind of customize each part of your face, but you can't make bigger boobs. You can't make your person shorter or taller, as far as I could tell. Maybe I missed it. Um, so it was very difficult to really get into it, right? Like, go to a game like Black Desert. I mean, you start off with beautiful characters. And then you can either make them more beautiful or you can make them ugly again if you want. So, that's fine. You know what I mean? But it's almost like the way that they made this character creation, they wanted to make it as hard as possible for you to make a beautiful looking character, right? So it just kind of was like so frustrating, you know, making my character. Like I usually love making characters, like I love spending 2 hours making my character, you know, um, but I took a little bit of time on this one too, but it was just I wasn't having a great time. Um, so let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see. All right, so uh, the other thing was that there was no DLSS, right? That's just ridiculous. I mean, yeah, people say, well, oh, yeah, developers don't have to put every upscaler in each game. Well, obviously that's true, but I mean, it's well known that DLSS is the superior upscaler. Like FSR and XCSS don't even come close. So it was just dumb to leave it out. And AMD partnership with them, they're the reason why they didn't have DLSS in there, right? And FSR looks so bad in the game, like it just makes it look worse. Like because the game already looks bad, like at least by my standards, the game looks bad. So when you put FSR into the mix, it's just like gonna make it that much worse, you know? So unless you're like starting at 4K and maybe upscaling it, maybe 25 from like 25% down, if once you go past 25% with FSR, it's just horrible. And forget about upscaling 1080p with FSR. That's just like disgusting. 1440p you can kind of get away with it sometimes, maybe depending on the game, but even that's like not really that great. Um, what else? So I'm posting videos too, so you can look at the videos to see the experience I had. My RTX 2070, I was having a hard time getting 30 frames per second with that. With FSR, that's pretty stupid, right? My 2080 Ti, I had a hard time, getting up to 40 with that, even using FSR. So that's again dumb. Um, I don't know. It just there's just so many negatives, right? That it kind of drowns out the enjoyment of the game. Like at least in my opinion, okay? Like the game itself could be really good, right? If they had good graphics, right? If there was no bugs, if the characters looked good, you know, if the character creation was better, um, if the game, it's just like I said, for me, it's like I want to play it, like I've been looking forward to it, and I want to get into it. And I like those kinds of games, where you just run around, you're looting stuff all over the place, and um, you're that's what I like, looter shooters, I just like exploration and stuff like that. I don't care. It doesn't have to be super like you know, a great story or anything like that even, as long as I can just explore and fight things and, you know, pick up loot. That's pretty good for me as long as the game looks good. But this game looks like it's 10 years old. I mean, it doesn't look that great. So anyway, so that's, in a nutshell, my review. I gave it a 2 out of 5. Again, I might still play, but I the perform it's just it's a lot worse than I was expecting. Let me put it that way. Because of all the hype and like people were saying, "Oh, it's a good game. It's a good game." So anyway, let's read some of these reviews. So you can see here there's only 603 reviews, which isn't that many. But there's 33% that are giving it 5 stars and 40% that are giving it 1 star. So the 1-star reviews outweigh the 5-star reviews, right? So if you want to take like 3 stars and down, you have 52%, 58%, right? So 58% of the people were unhappy with the game, right? That's not good. I didn't look at the Steam reviews yet. I have yet to do that. But I wanted to check out the Xbox reviews because I wanted to make some comments here as well. So, um, so this guy here says, let me slide this over a little so you can see more of it. And let me get me out of the way. I'll go over here somewhere. Yeah, sounds good. Now I'm going to be looking in the wrong direction, of course. But whatever. What are you going to do? That's why I kind of wanted it over that way, but I guess I can make myself smaller. Right. So right here, it says game is not good enough for the hype. I agree with that. It says, look, I'll keep it short. Game is not good for right now, at least besides all the bugs, lag, and sync problems. But I have suspicion all the people who either pre-ordered or bought the premium edition seem to be doing just fine with the game, I guess. It's hard for me to read because the text is small. This guy gave it a 5 stars, which is quite interesting. He goes, I played the game for 40 hours on a hard drive, and just to make a long story short, he doesn't recommend putting it on a hard drive. So he says, I reinstalled it on my SSD, and the game now is flawless at 4K 60. Right? So he's got a 4080 and an i9. Okay? The game is awesome. So I disagree with that, but whatever. It's his opinion, right? But I question his 4K 60 frames per second. But we won't go there. This one says it won't even install. This says just not good. He goes, despite 30 frames per second imitation, despite the 30 frames per second imitation on the Series X, which is absurd, and horrible optimization and performance on PC overall, the game is just not fun or interesting. I tried to push through it to see if I could get hooked, but after a few hours, uninstalled it. This guy gave it 5 stars and he says trolls are sad. So now he's attacking people like me, calling me a troll. Because I like good looking games and games that are interesting and games that have nice looking characters. So I'm a troll for not liking a nice looking game. This guy gave 5 stars. Spreading my seed across galaxies, ensuring the survival of bloodline of John Starfield with a little corporate espionage on the side. I don't even know what that guy's saying, man. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or what. But how can he be praising the game that hard? I mean, there's just no way. I'm not sure what this guy said, but he gave it a 1 star. I can't copy and paste, unfortunately. This one said, it's great so far, but still waiting for the hook. This game is not a 1-star game. I'm guessing they're just haters that don't meet the minimum specs. Haven't noticed any bugs, but 3 hours in, I'm not quite drawn into the story yet. Right, well that's... shouldn't be a 4 stars then. Lizzie Waffles. I mean, if you're playing for 3 hours and the game is not interesting yet, then why would you give it 4 stars? What? Because you feel guilty if you give it 3 or 2? I mean, so are we the trolls for being honest? For not giving more than it deserves? I mean, that's weird. More loading screens than a DMV line. I thought we got rid of games with many loading screens with World of Warcraft, but apparently 20 years doesn't buy enough tech to get around them. Huh. Yeah, well, that's true. It was kind of dumb to have loading screens. Especially on these great next-gen consoles that we have, right? That are going to do 4K 120 hertz. Remember that whole marketing shenanigan with the consoles? Crashes to desktop constantly. Not sure. I wish they would put their specs on there so we know what they were using. This guy says unplayable. I don't know if it's Game Pass or what, but it can't play without crashing. Now see this one here. This is the kind of review that is an honest review. Kind of underwhelming. I'm definitely not very far right now, but I can honestly say it's a bit underwhelming. Basically think of a game like Elite Dangerous or No Man's Sky, but with lots of loading screens, no seamless transitions, and more people interaction, and a direct quest line. At this point, it about sums the game up, sadly. I've been to so many planets. No, I haven't been to many planets, but I haven't even been given the option to fly into the planet myself and land. At this point, I can only fast travel to locations, and of course there is exploring on foot and just walking. Yeah, that's another problem I had with it. There's no vehicles. Like, you know, where's the moon buggies, right? The Terra buggies. Like, I mean, come on. I was running from this one spot where I was fighting these guys. I discovered like a place, and you know, it was an abandoned facility of some sort. And so I fought those guys. I looted a whole bunch of crap. And this game has weight, right? Dumb weight. Instead of having like an inventory amount limit, they have overburdensome, right? Overburdened. You're overburdened. So I'm like, I have to run all the way back to another spot to hand in a quest, right? Because I was kind of just wandering around the planet, kind of just whatever, just mining and looking around and just checking things out. And I saw that, you know, place that was undiscovered. I went there. And before you know it, I'm like, you know, I don't know how many meters, 300, 400, 500 meters away. It might have been a little bit further, but now I'm like I can't run because I'm overburdened and my oxygen runs out like almost immediately. And even walking, I was running out of oxygen. So I'm walking, right? I'm just walking slow, right? I'm just walking, and it's taken me forever to go back to that place they hand in my quest, you know. And by the time I get back there, I'm so frustrated because it's like going, man, I just wasted all that freaking time to get from that place over there to here because of oxygen. Because I'm overburdened. And even when I was eating the food, like I ate the food, it says, whatever, 10% oxygen replenishment, which I was assuming that was talking about, your oxygen will replenish 10% faster. But I don't know what it was doing because it didn't help me at all. So that was very frustrating, man. So there's just a lot of like dumb things that they just could have left out of the game or just did differently. Like obvious stuff. Like there's been so many games out now. Like for how many years? Like if I wanted to make a game today, right? What I would do is look back at all the games that were kind of popular or somewhat popular, and then I would get some people, friends or whoever, to go on forums or those game sites and look at reviews and find out all the things that the people liked about those games, right? And then that's what I would try to implement in my game, right? Those mechanics, those things which people liked, right? Not trying to like reinvent the wheel, right? Or reinvent the car or the truck, right? Because they're going to be what they're going to be. It doesn't matter what shape they are, right? So it's just simple. Like if you're a gamer, like most stuff is common sense, right? About what to put in the game and what not to put in the game, right? So the people who are giving this game 5 stars, I would say that they're the ones who are trolls, right? Because they're unless they like sucky games, they're not being honest. That's just how I'm putting it. At this point, I can only fast travel to locations, and of course, there's no exploring on foot and just walking. I understand it took No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous a while to become what they are, but they weren't a AAA release with this much hype. That's true. So this guy was using a 5800X and a 6750 XT. The game defaulted to high with FSR on. I turned FSR off and it ran totally fine for me. But of course he didn't say what frames per second he was working at there. So that would have been helpful too, right? This guy says don't install on a hard drive again. Yeah. So what did this guy like about it? For those curious of the story and gameplay, I recommend installing it and trying it for yourself. Best way I can describe it is Fallout No Man's Sky. Had cocaine baby, and this is the result. Fun, slightly grindy, but nonetheless fun, as all Bethesda games. Plenty of side quests to delve into. Easy to earn money for people who like to buy armor and weapons. Game gets a solid 4 or 5 from me. Hope this helps. Well, this guy kind of sounds like me, right? I just like open world games, exploring, getting loot. But the game, there's, even for me, the game's just has too much negatives. And this guy is not telling the truth. This guy says I'm running a 2060, an RTX 2060, and it works like a charm on Ultra. That is a lie. What kind of a screen is this guy using? A 10-inch screen? I just played with a 2070, and I was like having a real hard time getting 30 frames per second, even with FSR. In fact, I think in the video I said you had to put it on low, all low, right? Low setting on everything with FSR at like 50%. So this guy is not telling the truth at all. I wish you could comment on these guys, but that's false. 100% false. Because the 2060 is not going to run better than my 2070. Anyway. This guy says it's too bad for the system performance, but other than that, I've already played 10 hours in my first day. Enough said. Again, it's not worth a 5 stars. Right? I mean, if the thing runs like crap, then how can you give it 5 stars? Right? You give it 3 stars. You say 3 stars. Say the 3 stars are because I like the game. It lost 2 stars because of how it performs. And I would even say that's still too generous, but fair enough. That's fair enough. But 5 stars? No. 5 stars, you can't give a game 5 stars if it doesn't run good. I mean, come on, man. This is another person who had a problem with Game Pass. This guy says it's unplayable. Probably doesn't have a good enough system. Who knows? I wish they would post their system. Loading screen simulator. There's a loading screen for everything you do. You can't even walk to your ship and enter to take flight. Can't even hyperdrive to a planet and fly the ship around the world. So you have to fast travel. Star Citizen is a much better game. Well, there you go. That's what people were hoping for, a Star Citizen-like game, and I was too, actually. I don't like the fact that you like fast travel everywhere. That's so stupid. Like, you have a ship. Why can't we fly it to the city? Right? Like, they want you to fight out in space, but you can't fly on the planet. Right? I mean, it's crazy. It's really dumb. And they don't have any, like I said earlier, vehicles to ride around on the planet. This guy says they ought to give everyone their money back. Yeah, it was definitely overhyped. Great game, better optimization needed though. Why are you giving it 5 stars? Been having a blast with the game. I'm actually forcing myself to stop playing it because I'm not sleeping enough. Well, you're just obsessive, dude. That's all. Game could use some optimization patch though. Don't expect 100 FPS unless you have a beast PC. But it works just fine, 60 FPS where needed. On an R5 3600 paired with a 3060 Ti. See, this guy is not being honest either. If he's playing at 3440 by 1440, he is not getting 60 plus FPS without using FSR. And at low settings. Like, there's no way. No way. And this guy's giving it 5 stars when it runs like crap. Here's another one. See, some of these are gonna be like, um, did I just read the same ones over again? What's going on here? Why is it looping? Why is it repeating? Can you see all the reviews? Is there like a way to see all reviews? See, this is the same review. So there's like duplicate reviews. What is going on here? Why is it looping? Alright, let's see here. So this guy can't launch it either on Game Pass. I'm not sure why. This guy just says bad, bad. This guy says overwhelming amount of content. Okay, who cares? So he's got a 3070 i9 processor. That's vague. What? Which one? All right, so let's see here. They said it runs smooth at high setting. Okay, well, what resolution are you playing at? Right? I like the story. The acting is good, and even though the game engine is buggy, there's always a sense of realism in their games because of the non-linear world. You can go anywhere without having to pass a quest. Like all BS games, junk is going to happen. The good news is you have a robot companion to help you carry from the start. Cons, menu system, more clunky than Skyrim. People don't look at you when they talk. The character you create is going to be ugly. At least he's on my side about that. Um, Ship flying is like rocket science hard. It can be a little clunky. I mean, this guy's being real generous, though. I guess he likes a crappy looking game, too. You know? Well, at least he gave it 4 stars instead of 5, you know? My goodness. But I still think 4 is being too generous. This guy goes A. It's a great looking game, but it keeps freezing and losing sound while playing, and everything is on low, so should not be doing that. Well, that's true. Y'all don't know what a real game is, all you haters. Y'all should play it. It's really fun. Well, that's your opinion. Boring and uninteresting. Played the game for an hour and it was obvious I wasted 17 more if I tried to beat it. Story is slow and uninteresting. Same as graphics and performance. Looks like an Xbox 360 game upscaled to 4K. Yep. It was much more fun to go outside. Although 1 hour, I do have to admit, 1 hour wasn't really enough to judge it. But if he didn't like the looks of it, then that's enough for him. Like if he doesn't like ugly games, because I don't know how anyone says this game looks good. It's not. It doesn't look good at all. For a 2023 game, it does not look good. I don't understand. Like what the frick? I even played it at 8K. Right? I'm going to be posting a video, which I'm waiting for it to process. It's taking like so many days. So hopefully it'll be done soon. So check that out if any of you guys check out this video. The 8K video will be up there. I mean, that's the only way that it really looked kind of okay to me when I was playing it in 8K. Other than that, even at 4K, the game looks kind of crappy, you know? So, anyway. So he's right about the way it looks, man. It doesn't look good. They said game of the year, pretty good on a high-end PC, great story and combat. Well, good for you, buddy. Glad that you're having a great time on your high-end PC. You know, a lot of people aren't because they don't have high-end PCs. I mean, I have a high-end PC, but I see how it looks on my lower-end PCs, and it's crap. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to rate it because I have a high. I mean, I'm not going to rate it based on my high-end PC experience. I'm going to rate it based on my lower-end PC experience. You know, because I want to be as honest as I can about, you know, how I'm rating the game. You know what I'm saying? So even at 4K, the game doesn't look that great. You know, I don't think it does. This guy says, or girl, whatever, an enjoyable experience. I personally enjoy playing through the game as it does use role playing in your traits that you pick in the beginning, which means something. The game combat isn't great, that's true. It's not really good. I don't like the way the guns feel, but anyway. And space combat is really well done, as the enemies will try to target the different parts of your ship, I guess. I think the flying around shooting is kind of clunky, but whatever. The game runs surprisingly smooth on launch with some lovely Bethesda bugs, like corpses getting stuck in geometry. Is it worth $70? That's not really for me to decide. It's a mix of a lot of different styles and they don't seem to clash in my opinion. Hope these things get ironed out as the game goes through its life cycle. So here's another person that gives it 4 stars when they've clearly seen negatives in it. You know what I'm saying? Like 4 stars is too generous. Like give it 3 stars. You know, you can't go, "Oh, well I hope down the road that things get fixed." Like what? Like you're rating the game now. Not like what happens down the road, you know? I don't understand people that have that mentality. Now this guy said, "I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do. I've always been a lover of Bethesda games, so I knew I had to play this one, but the thought of a space game didn't really appeal to me. Actually, I wanted a space game. I was real happy that they were making a space game." He goes, "I was wrong and I'm hooked on the game. It's fun and not boring at all. I might even like this game more than Fallout 4, which is one of my top 10 favorite games. This game can be a bit buggy and you need a really good PC to even run it, and an SSD, but if you have those, you'll be in great shape. Overall, 10/10. Ugh. See, that's. Ugh. I mean, yes, you could say, well, it's his opinion if it's a 10/10 for him, but his review doesn't show it to be a 10/10. You see? I mean, it's a bit buggy. You need a really good PC to even play it, and an SSD. You know? A lot of people don't have SSDs, right? They're using old PCs. And you know, everybody can't just go out and buy PC parts. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, it's only $50 or whatever the case is." Well, that's great. Let's see, food on my table or buy an SSD. I mean, yeah, come on, man. But see, if there's anything negative about a game, it should never get 5 stars. Never. How can you say it's a perfect game if it's got flaws? Right? 5 out of 5 means it's a perfect game. It means everything about it is good. You know, 5 out of 5 doesn't mean that you just were able to play it and have some enjoyment, right? Maybe some people think that's what it means. It's a rating. right? You're giving it a rating, right? And each star means something, right? 5 stars means that overall 99% of the game was cool, or everything about it was 99% good or better. Maybe 4 stars, might be, well, 10%, there was 10% to turn me off about the game, you know. You understand? It's like that's how you rate stuff. You don't go, "Oh, I completed the game and beat it and I had a good time." 5 stars, even though it runs like crap, it looks like crap. It's like it's like ugh, come on. This person says, "Love it. Such a wonderful fun adventure. Careful, you'll lose yourself." Yeah, well, you'll lose a lot of your time if you're not having such a great time. This guy says horrible performance. I'll play it when it actually functions better. And I'm just adding words there. Could be worse. It could be worse. Wow. That's not a good title when you gave it 2 stars. It isn't all that great, to be honest. I thought maybe it would have some competition with Star Citizen, but the performance just isn't there. You don't really seem part of the universe. Gameplay is kind of trash. I wish you would use punctuation. You have to load into the planet, then into the surface, then into each building you go into. It's not as open as I thought. This game just isn't worth the money, and it's probably worth more like 30 bucks. I don't know, man. This game is just lacking all around, they say. This guy says big game. If you enjoy huge games where you can do what you like, this is it. So that's why he gave it 5 stars. Because it's a big game. 5 stars because it's a big game and you can do what you want. Again, no specs. How was it running? Great game, enjoying every minute of it. More power to you. This guy says this is awful, just garbage, go play something else. Let's keep it brief. The game crashes more than drunk drivers. Wow, that's pretty harsh. I haven't been able to get past the intro right after you laser the rocks. Yeah, this guy didn't have a good time at all. This guy says incredible RPG, or it will be when they fix it. Ugh, here's another one. Why do you give it 5 stars? Don't give it 5 stars if it's not a 5-star game. You're not rating it for the future. You're rating it for now. This game is the most polished Bethesda has released yet from a gameplay standpoint. The guns feel great. No, they don't. The movement is not good either. I don't agree with these two statements at all. I think the shooting is horrible. I think Cyberpunk's way better when it comes to the shooting. And the movement's not that great either. You can mantle and slide and sprint and climb things. I don't know about sliding. I didn't know you could slide. You can climb things, so that's cool. The story and the world they've built is a love letter to the Expanse? I don't think so. Give me a break. A love letter to the Expanse, William Gibson, Star Trek, Ridley Scott. No, I disagree with that. It's not all that. I mean, give me a break. Look at the videos of what Earth looks like. Yeah, that's putting a lot of effort into it. Like, it's kind of stupid. Like, where did all the water go on Earth? I mean, what happened to Earth? Like, global warming is like a foul, you know, it's a farce, you know. So, um, there can never be a runaway greenhouse on this planet. It's impossible, right? Because there's too much water. There's the Earth is a recycling system, so all the CO2 will eventually go back into the ground or into the water, right? So the fact that we have water on the planet, that's a cooling mechanism. And even when it does warm up on this planet, which it has done in the past, much more than they're saying it's going to warm up now, we have forests, right? Forests will get more green. Forests are actually a cooling mechanism for the planet. So it's like, I don't know what they did with Earth. I didn't look at the lore, so I guess I got to read up on that. But the Earth is like barren wasteland. Like, really? Come on, give me a break. It's like so stupid. Like, I mean, what are they trying to say there? Global warming, like runaway greenhouse effect? Like, it's not possible. You know, that's just physics and chemistry. Not possible. You know, and scientists are bad people for not telling people that because they know it. And they're letting all these climate crazies out there telling people we're going to end up dying. That's pretty horrible to say. And it's not good. It's not good information at all. But this guy says incredible RPG, or it will be once they fix it. This game, oh yeah, did I just read that? Oh yeah, it's just real buggy. Such stuff breaks a lot. NPCs sometimes some of their what? Oh, some of their limbs, yeah, vanish, and certain mechanics feel like they didn't get polished. It's clear that the vision for this game outpaced the technology. But I still can't stop playing it. But see, they mentioned all these negatives and they're still giving it 5 stars. I mean, it's just, you can't, that's not, that's not an honest review, you know? This guy just says it's pretty fun. Fine. You having a good time? Great. Download it to your SSD. Awesome game with a lot to do. Download to your SSD so the game doesn't run like crap. Well, I ran my games on SSDs and it still ran like crap. Again, tell us your specs. Tell us what resolution you were playing at. Tell us what frames per second you were also playing at. So that we know that if you're one of those people that like playing at 30 frames per second. Right? Because I like playing at the maximum frames per second. And that's not 30. Right? My monitors go up to 144 hertz and higher. So that's what I would like to play at. This person says, shame so many people wasted thousands of hours of work. Don't download this unless you have a very expensive PC or else you can't play it. And that's true. I mean, my 2 PCs here that I tested the game on so far, well, I did test it on my other one, but that's a different story. Both of these old PCs that I have are gaming PCs, right? And they're not bad. Like, one's an 8-core processor with a RTX 2070, right? A 2070 is not terrible. And the other one is a 9900K with a 2080 Ti. And they're both struggling to play the game at a decent frame rate. I mean, even at 1080p. It's just this has got to stop with these games. It has to. I mean, consoles are killing the gaming development industry. They are. It's just I don't know, man, what AMD is doing with these guys, but they're not helping. This guy says too many crashes. Actually unplayable. Requires SSD. Misleading promises. I went in with low expectations, and after I switched it to my SSD, the gameplay wasn't even fun. You can't take off with your spaceship, let alone travel with it. You can only fast travel. 0 out of 10. So glad I didn't have to spend money on this. 1 star. And you know what's interesting? Like on Steam, like I noticed on Steam when a game goes like free to play, like I say a free weekend, and I take notice to this. Like I literally like take notice to this. And you could do your own research too. Whenever a game goes like has a free weekend, right? I noticed that during that free weekend, there's a lot more positive reviews for that particular game than there was from paying customers. So that's probably why these guys like to do the free weekends. I don't know for sure, I'm just guessing. Because that injects a swath of positive reviews, right? Because people that didn't pay for the game, they're not going to be as critical, right? They're going to be like, "Oh, I had a good, it was free. I had a good time. Let me be generous back." Right? So when like if people have Game Pass and they play a game and give it a bad review, then that's not good. Now they are paying the monthly subscription, so am I. I got the ultimate, I think, yeah, ultimate. So you're still paying money, you know what I mean? You're just not paying for the full game, or you're not paying the retail. You're just paying to play it, basically. You don't own it. So it's kind of like a rental service, right? Um so I don't know why it keeps duplicating reviews here. It's very weird. It's like I definitely didn't go through 600 reviews. Here you go. This one says, um, so much side story. Great game if you have the specs to run it. Not sure how it runs on a Series X, but my 5600X and 6800 XT do great in running this game at 60 FPS 1440p. Looks great, and the side quests are so well done. It's like a better Mass Effect. Can't wait to get deeper into the game. So, this person gave it 5 stars, which is fine. But I question this. What were your settings? Because I know that they were not playing 60 frames per second at 1440p on Ultra. And I would even say they weren't doing that on high either. They probably started up the game and saw, "Oh, it's already on high settings. I'll just keep that." But they didn't notice that FSR was enabled and what's that other thing called? Dynamic resolution what also is turned on. And you have the upscaling slider as well. Right? Because my 2080 Ti, trying to think, a 6800 XT was what, as powerful as a 3080? So my 2080 Ti wouldn't be quite as powerful. But again, that was even struggling to get to 40, you know? This guy said, disappointed. I'd rather turn off my PC and watch TV. This one gives it 3 stars. It's Bethesda, alright? Decent gameplay, not much more to say. A couple hours in, I've already lost hours of progress because I stabbed someone. And then almost immediately afterwards, the game crashed. So, you know, at least he gave it 3 stars because he's having trouble with it. So, this guy, I don't know how they get double reviews here. It's weird. That's one thing that Xbox has to fix. So this one says, I dig it. But I started with Daggerfall, so I might be biased, right? That's what he means by saying different perspective. It's probably going to be too slow for many players. All that said, I went into it ready to be disappointed, like Redfall, etc., and was pleasantly surprised. No performance issues or bugs to speak of yet. I'm sure they will pop up. Enjoy the ride. Well, again, it would have been nice if he gave us his specs. Alright, so he went in with low expectations and made the choice to probably try to enjoy it with low expectations. So I'll give him the 4 stars on that one. At least he's not saying, oh, the thing's wonderful, you know, it's so great, you know. Taco7387 says, a point-and-click loading screen experience. Not a tech or a bug-related review. No technical difficulties to mention. This does not seem to be an adventure game. Instead, it seems to be simply a text-based game with some small walking breaks between loading screens. I was an early adopter to No Man's Sky. I liked the game even during its early dark days. I don't throw much into it these days, but evidently that's still the best around, so maybe I should. Ooh, excuse me. I was also early and loyal to Cyberpunk, which was fine, I guess. Everything felt a bit devoid of life. Nowhere near Rockstar level of quality that holds the bar, in my opinion. My first large disappointment with this game was the lack of running. A lack of running organic city train, but instead just a loading screen. At least we were able to drive to the outskirts and have an organic exploration field there. So Starfield is even more compartmentalized and loading screens than the above. Bummed to have to be writing this. So he didn't really, it didn't meet his expectations. Sad frame rate, this one says. Audio and video are always fighting to stay along with them, and everyone talks like that old Godzilla scene. That's really funny. Like, how can the audio be out of sync? I didn't really experience that. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention to them talking because I was skipping the dialogue because it didn't really interest me that much. So this one has no title. Stop complaining about not being able to play your game if day one launch bugs have existed forever. Bunch of Karens. Go touch some grass and everything will be okay. By the way, the game is objectively better than just about anything that Bethesda has pumped out, so stop giving 1 and 2s because you're feeling edgy. Wow. So instead of commenting about the game, this person's bashing on the people that didn't enjoy the game. So I'm a Karen, even though I have an RTX 4090 and a 13700K PC, and I was playing the game at 8K. I can't have a negative opinion about the game. So I'm a Karen, I'm edgy. I don't even know what that all means. Like, what's... This guy didn't give us specs. He didn't tell us what frames he was getting. Right? What resolution he was playing at. He didn't tell us whether he was using FSR. Right? He didn't say anything about why he liked the game. Which makes his review worthless. You know? As most reviews that don't leave a kind of a small description, right, of why they're leaving it 5 stars, right? Not just, oh, I like the game, 5 stars. I'm not saying you can't do that. You can. That's your right. But this guy left nothing useful. Down voting it. Nothing useful. He just attacked other gamers who are allowed to have an opinion. Right? He's allowed to have an opinion, but no one else is. Because online, he must have read that, oh, people are review bombing Starfield for this reason or that reason. No, people are not review bombing. People are expressing their disgust for the condition of games today. Right? And how they're released. And that they don't feel like games from the year 2023. Really, this Starfield does not feel like a game from 2023. It feels like something that should have gotten done 10 years ago. Right? Yeah, fine. The fact that you can travel to other planets is great. You know, the fact that you can explore, that's great. I already said that I like that. I like looter shooters, whatever, and explorers. You know, that's my kind of a game. But there's just, that's not enough. The game has to be interesting. It has to look good, at least for me. It's got to be bug-free, right? The gameplay itself has to be, you know, good. Like I don't like the gunplay. Like I really don't like the gunplay in the game. I think the guns don't feel great. Right? That's just my opinion, right, on that. So I mean, it's the kind of game that I like. But the condition of the game right now is not something I would give 5 stars. Or 4 stars. Or 3 stars. Right now the game is in a condition that I think is only worth 2 stars. That doesn't make me a Karen. It doesn't make me edgy. I'm not, like, I mean, again, like, what, people are leaving bad reviews for what? Attention? I mean, really? Is that what you think? Like, like, what? This guy is a 3060, can't play. I meet all the recommended specs and can't even run the game on low. That's right. Like the Hunter. Correct. I have a 2070, an RTX 2070, right? Which is just as powerful as a 3060. And I have to run it on low settings at 1080p with FSR enabled just to get 30 frames per second. And the game looks like crap. It's just horrible. That's why people are giving it low ratings. And this guy was generous. He gave it 3 stars. Right? So he's like me. He likes the concept of the game, but it's not enjoyable for whatever reason. Right? So you can't give a game 5 stars just because it's the kind of game you like, but it has a lot of crappy stuff about it. That's not being honest. This guy says it was boring to him. So boring. He says, I love Skyrim. So do I. I didn't play Fallout really much, so I can't comment on that. He says, I love Skyrim and all the Fallout games. And he even likes Bethesda as one of the best developers out there. But this game is literally so boring. The story is so bland and uninteresting that you're going to catch yourself zoning out during dialogue. And there's a lot of dialogue. And don't get me started on the bugs. Completely destroys immersion. So there you go. 2 stars. That's a 2-star review. Right? Because it's got problems. You can't give it 5 stars if it has issues. This one says, amazing game with everything a BGS game needs and more. This game was extremely polished on release and I cannot complain about the settings on PC. I hit around 50 to 60 frames per second on low settings at 1440, so it looks beautiful. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't look beautiful on low. He's got a very low expectation of what beautiful looks like. Definitely worth the money, and even better that it's on Game Pass. I would rate it higher if I could. Wow. This guy doesn't really require much to please. Okay, so this is false. Now, it's not false what he said. He might have hit 50 or 60 frames per second on low settings at 1440, but it doesn't look beautiful. And I wonder what kind of a card he was using. Because he would need a pretty beefy card to get 50 to 60 frames per second, even on low settings of 1440. So, I don't know. It doesn't look beautiful though. 1440 low, it doesn't. That's just not true. Again, if he's playing on a 20-inch screen, maybe it looks beautiful to him. I don't know. This one says, Angel of Wisdom says, 3 stars. Game seems decent if I could play it on PC. From the hour or so I was able to put in, the game seemed like a Fallout in space. Ah, she's got the ARC A770, so we'll pass on that review because I think Intel said they're working on the drivers to get it working better on Starfield, so these 2 reviews are the same. Another duplicate. This guy says, sad. 2 stars. I haven't played much, but so far it's slow and boring, and the fast travel system breaks immersion. Yeah. Same here. John Baldwin says, nothing new. 3 stars. Game is fun, sure, but it's kind of isn't all that, to be honest. Feels remarkably similar to a little game that came out in 2015. I think it's important to consider where we are gaming. All games are different that I love. Combat in this game makes me yawn. Give me a challenge besides turning enemies into bullet sponges. Graphics look good. It depends on what you're playing with. He said best of any Bethesda game for sure. Well, I disagree with that. I really enjoyed Skyrim after I modded it. Best of any Bethesda game for sure, but nothing amazing. You can definitely tell this is the creation engine. One pro I do have is the clutter and level design are solid. Stories are eh. Wish the quest had more depth. Overall, I'd say play it if you have Game Pass, but don't spend $70 on it. I agree. James says, good when it runs, which isn't often. 2 stars. Seems like a great game, but it constantly freezes and stutters even on low settings. It's not like I'm running this on Macintosh. Maybe in 6 months when the optimization goes through, it will be worth it. Well, he may be on a hard drive. Finally, something good on Game Pass. You can argue Game Pass has lots of good games, but it's so fresh to finally have a new one you can put over 80 hours into and not even be done 1/3 of it. If you play RPGs at a slow pace and like exploring every area before you leave, go to the next quest, you should probably play Starfield. Now, I like this too. That's exactly what I said earlier. I don't mind slow pace, exploring, checking everything out. But the problem with this game is that it looks crappy and it's got just too many things that are just annoying. This one here says 2 stars. Unfortunately, it's pretty mid. The game is carried by beautiful graphics, environments. I don't know why people keep saying that. It's not a good looking game at all. Ugh. But it is strikingly apparent that outside of the space combat and ship customization, it is very much Fallout Skyrim in space. From the combat to the NPC interactions, through the outpost construction being largely copied from Fallout 76. Arguably the most frustrating aspect of the game, it's billed as having unparalleled exploration, but it has loading screens and cutscenes. I personally didn't care that you couldn't go from a planet's surface to space and vice versa, but I found myself turned off by the sheer amount of loading screens you encounter just going from point A to point B. If you want to Fallout Skyrim in space, then this is the game for you. If you were looking for Todd and BGS, not to play it safe, to break new ground here, this is probably not the game for you. Oh, I'll skip that one. But this guy did say it's a brokey, buggy, unoptimized mess. Even the top of the line computers struggle to get above 60 frames per second. Maybe if they spent 1/3 of the time they spend making sure it was diverse and inclusive, and rather spend it on optimization, it wouldn't be another creation engine disaster. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so anyway, I mean, again, you can see a lot of the 5-star ratings are crapping on people that, you know, gave their honest opinions, you know, and didn't have a problem speaking up about the things that they didn't like about it, you know. You know, some people like a complete game. Some people like a game where it does all just work, you know. Some people like a game that doesn't have like several annoying things in it that you have to deal with throughout the whole entire game, right? So there's nothing wrong with pointing out flaws in a game, and there's nothing wrong with giving it less than 5 stars if it's got flaws, you know? Because you shouldn't be giving a game 5 stars if there's any negatives. A 5-star game is nearly a perfect game. That's why you give it 5 stars. Right? 5 stars says this is an all-around good game. That's what that means. If it's got bugs, if it runs like crap, if it doesn't look great, it's not a 5-star game. Just the way it is. And, I'm not here trying to crap on Starfield. Right? I was looking forward to playing the game. I didn't have much expectations for it at all. Right? I was just excited that we were getting a space game. Because, Star Citizen's taken like a million years to come out. So, I was happy that maybe, oh yeah, okay, Bethesda's been working on something for the last couple years. Maybe it's not as big as Star Citizen, and they were able to kind of slap it together quicker and give us a, half decent game. But for me, it just falls short. It's a 2-star game for me. 2 stars right here. And it's not because I hate it, right? And it's got nothing to do with the whatever wokeness. I don't rate my games on that, right? But it's all the other things that kind of annoyed me, right? So that's why I gave it 2 stars. Maybe if they come out with like a DLSS, if they add that to the game like they should have. I mean, 75% of PC gamers own Nvidia cards. Right? So any developer in their right mind should just put DLSS in the game. Because if they're going to have FSR in it, they should have DLSS in it. Right? That's just how I see it. Like, why leave it out? Don't say, well, we can't do it. It takes too long. That's bullcrap. It doesn't take too long. Right? If modders can go out there and do something in a month, just all by themselves, just one person, then how much can, a couple experienced gaming engineers do by implementing DLSS? And all they got to do is make a phone call to NVIDIA. Say, hey, NVIDIA, we know you're all wrapped up in AI these days, but hey, we want to put DLSS in our game. And, we want to make sure that it's in our game the right way. So, do you think that you can send one of your engineers over here, maybe for a day or two, and just kind of help us integrate it into our game? Or at least give us, a lesson on how we can better integrate it into our game so that we can go ahead and do it. It's that simple. Right? NVIDIA loves to have their technology in everything. And also, if they release like a high definition texture pack later, so that the game actually looks good, at least on PC. Maybe console players, they like crappy looking games because that's what they're used to, and that's fine, you know? But there's really no excuse for having any of these problems, right? Because I went over to my sister's house and she's playing like Assassin's Creed, like an old Assassin's Creed, and it's running at 30 frames per second, and the game looks good. It doesn't look crappy at all. You know what I'm saying? Like that 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 old console game looks better than Starfield. So again, my brain can't accept a developer saying, "Oh, well, that's just the way it is with game developing now. Games are getting more, demanding." And I'm like, "Well, how is that possible? If my sister is playing like an open world Assassin's Creed game on an old console and it looks great, right? Or somebody's playing Horizon Zero Dawn on an old console and it looks great, and it's running at 30 frames per second while it's looking great. Right? We can look past the 30 frames per second. I mean, I don't really want to. It would be nice to have 60 or more. But, we can kind of look past the 30 frames per second if the game looked great. But here we have games that are struggling to get 30 frames per second, and they don't even look good. Or even struggling to get 60 frames per second, and they don't really look good. In 2023. And these people out here who are going, "Oh, just suck it up. It's just the way it is." Really? That's really how you want it to be? You're just going to throw in the towel, lie on your back, and let the developers just ram you up your rear? It's like, I mean, I don't understand the mentality. It's like, no. Games for $70, $80, $90, $100, which we spend when we buy the games, should run good and look great. Period. Because if you have old games that were on console that run at 30 frames and look great, and you have old PC games like, Rise of the Tomb Raider, that was a beautiful looking game. That runs great on all kinds of PC hardware. And how old is that now? I mean, 2016 or something? So it's like, there's no excuse. Anyway, whatever. I was just reading the reviews because I noticed there was more 1-star reviews than 5-star reviews. So that's the reason why I did this. Because if it was like the other way around, I wouldn't really have bothered. But, it's quite interesting when you have more 1-star reviews than 5-star. Normally it's like, this is like maybe 3 stars, right? You know what I mean? Oh, sorry, you can't see it. Like this bar is usually like maybe at the 3 or the 4, But you have very few in between. So, anyway, if you want to play Starfield the way that it should be played, then they have to fix some stuff. And they have to add DLSS and, I don't know, add a high definition texture pack. Because even if I have a 4090, and even with that, it's not going to look as good. It's still not going to look good. It'll look okay, but it won't look like fabulous. or wonderful. So anyway, that's all I got to say for now. Check out my videos. I'm waiting for them to get processed. I think one already posted. There's a couple Tomb Raider ones that I posted of 8K. But there's two more coming for Starfield. Um, of testing some graphics cards and, you know, processors. So, alright, check them out later. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Love y'all. Peace.